When my children Sonia and Eric were little, we would take them to the pool since before they knew how to swim. They would be standing at the edge of the pool, and I would jump in and stand in front of them, open my arms, and ask them to jump in towards me. But somehow, they were not very convinced. I would tell them, "Jump! Trust in me." And eventually, they would gather courage and jump into my arms. Today, I want to talk about obedience to God. There are two main reasons why we obey. The first one is that we have a relationship based on fear, like the relationship between a master and a slave. And the second one is when we have a relationship based on trust and love, like the relationship between friends. In the first reading, when God tells Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac, Abraham obeys God not out of fear, but out of trust. As a matter of fact, the book of Hebrews explains this when it says, "By faith Abraham was tested. He considered that God was able to raise men even from the dead." In the psalm we hear, "I believed even when I said, I am greatly afflicted. My vows to the Lord I will pay." Because of faith, we know that even when we feel helpless, we are not. And we continue trusting and obeying. Curiously, against what we normally think, obedience does not restrict us but free us. Think of the last time when you were driving to some place you could not find. You felt trapped. But then you called some friend that gave you directions and you felt free again. To obey God is to listen to the one that gives us directions on how to live our lives. But obedience to God is not passive. Obedience to God is an active state of the Spirit. It demands us to be attentive. In fact, the verb to obey comes from the Latin obaudiere, which means to listen. That is why in the Gospel we hear God the Father say, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him." In other words, "This is my beloved Son, obey him." Last year, on the feast of Our Lady of Sorrows, Pope Francis gave a homily in which he told us, "If you want to learn obedience, look at the woman under the cross." Mary is the perfect example of one who gives it all in obedience, an act of perfect faith. When God calls you, jump in the water. Learn from Mary's example, and through her, ask God for the grace to grow stronger in our faith and trust in Him. Pray to God that His will, and not ours, be done. And make of your lives a vivid image of what we pray for.